Welcome back. Senators from the southeast part of Nigeria have convened a meeting, or had convened a meeting with the Attorney General, Federation, and the Minister of Justice, Prince Lateef Fagbemi, SAN. That meeting was to demand the release of the detained leader of the proscribed Indigenous People of Biafra group, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu. Well, the federal lawmakers, numbering about 15, were led to that meeting by Senator representing Abia South, Enyinnaya Abaribe. The meeting between the lawmakers and the Attorney General came just some hours after the governors from the southeast region resolved to approach President Bola Tinubu to beg for Nnamdi Kanu's freedom. They had addressed a press conference led by Governor Hope Uzodinma, informing the public about that. Also, earlier, about 15 members of the House of Representatives from various parts of the country urged President Bola Tinubu to free or release the detained IPOB leader. And tonight we're asking, should Nnamdi Kanu be released by the federal government of Nigeria? Well, of course, that means they have to drop the charges against him. In the studio to discuss this, Razaq Olokoba, Public Affairs Analyst. Joining us virtually, Right Honorable Chief Chiedozie Alex Ogbonnia, PhD. He is the National Publicity Secretary of Ohanaeze Ndigbo worldwide. Gentlemen, good evening to you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Chief, good evening to you, sir. Ndewo.
Yeah, how are you? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. All right. Chief, what sort of political agreement do you think could be reached, with the federal government, between Kanu and the federal government, to secure his release?
Yeah, the political agreement we are looking at is where the federal government will understand that Nnamdi Kanu is like, they're looking at Nnamdi Kanu represents what is happening in the southeast of Nigeria. It represents the agitation by the whole youth of the southeast. It represents the level of unemployment. It represents the marginalization of the people of Ndigbo. It represents how people are aggrieved about what is happening in Nigeria, how the Igbos are treated. So when we're talking about political solution now, it's how to bring to an end some of this all this injustice that are meted to the Igbo. We're talking about political solution. We're talking about how there will be equity in Nigeria, how the Igbo will always get their turn in all circumstances that are affecting Nigeria. How Nigeria will remember that Igbos are the founding, eminent Igbo, are the founding fathers of this country. And ever since then, we have been part of building the country. Everywhere you find us, we are trying to develop for the growth of this country. It is the kind of political solution we are looking at. When Nigeria will understand, or people will understand that Igbos are so sidelined by their lives, maltreated, and suffer all forms of injustice and exclusion from the federal government. So that's the political solution. So when you understand it and begin to assuage people and begin to correct some of these things in the past, and they will calm the nerves, and some of these agitations will reduce. So that's what we are looking at when we talk about political solution.
All right. Razaq Olokoba, Nnamdi Kanu has proven to be, a flight risk in the past, jumping bail once or twice. Are you sure that this man, Nnamdi Kanu, will live up to any such political agreement that can guarantee his release?
Well, thank you very much for that question, because that is the angle people will naturally bring on board anytime you talk about the release of Nnamdi Kanu. Just like what you have said, there's a growing concern for what the Igbos are going through in Nigeria. Just like there's a growing concern for what the Yoruba people is also going for in Nigeria. I am the convener of the coalition of Odua Self-Determination Group, the umbrella body for the self-determination group in Yoruba land. And we have had causes to exchange our ideas and agitation with many of the actors of the Igbo struggle agitators, like Nwazuruke and several other of them. So, for me as a Yoruba man, I agree with the Igbo cause. And as much as I want a better life for Yoruba in Nigeria, I also want a better life for the people of Ijoland. I've taken part in numerous protests on the street of Port Harcourt for men, for the jokers, and also in the north also. I'm also for the better life for the people of the northern people. We don't want Nnamdi Kanu to turn into where ethnic groups in this country will be plotted against each other. And that's why we must recognize what Nnamdi Kanu represents. He represents the struggle of the Niger Delta people and also the voice of the Igbos.
Well,
having said that,
Niger Delta people may not.
Sorry, Igbo people. Sorry to say that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Southeast.
I'm
sorry.
just saying they may not.
Thank you very much. I'm talking about Southeast, not Niger Delta. I'm talking about the Southeast. It's a slip of tongue. But we have to set emotion aside, though. Flowing from the question that you have asked me, that there are things that we should not approach with emotion. I went to see Asari Dokuwe when he was in detention. I went to see Ghana Dance when he was in detention. I went to see many political detainees when he was in detention. In fact, Obasanjo made an attempt to see him during the military era. So the right of people is our concern. And that's why everybody that is calling for the release of Nnamdi Kanu need to do more. When I say we support your cause, the correctional facility officers will be profiling Kanu against any sentiment. If the submission of the correctional facility center is that what Kanu demonstrate while he is in detention is not appropriate for the president, it will not be released. No matter any sentiment, no matter how police want to play. And that's why everybody calling for release needs to do more. More of assurance. In line with what we have said, more of assurance that he has someone that can speak to him when he's out. He has someone that can guarantee that is going to provide him at all times. The first time he was released, he took off, and when a few people were about to be apprehended, some senators and people who stood in for him, they were not picked up later, eventually. But everybody calling for it, including Edwin Clark, Ohanaeze, and everybody, must demonstrate an assurance to Nigerians that if he comes out, because the economy of Southeast is as important to me as the economy of the Southwest. We won't say that it's not our concern.
So you want the Southeast and those who are calling for Kanu's release must give assurances to the federal government that if he is out, there's someone that can talk to him and make sure that he...
Yes, that's what makes it complicated.
Chief Alex Ogbonnia, what is your take on this? Do you feel that could be a difficulty, Nnamdi Kanu living up to the terms of any political agreement, and therefore the Southeasters need to do more to assure the federal government that they can talk to him and rein him in if needs be?
Well, this is an interesting question. I'm also happy that my friend there is a Yoruba. He is also aware that Ndigbo was of similar disposition, and he's been released, and he's not causing mayhem. So while this kind of comparison now, what we're talking about is that Nnamdi Kanu, what Nnamdi Kanu is saying is that if you continue to treat my people with this kind of injustice and indignity, let my people go. That's the message. And about a political solution, if Nnamdi Kanu comes out and he begins to continue, if they continue to maltreat people, sideline people, and you treat all with all forms of injustice, and the kind of will rise from somewhere. So when we're talking about political solution, we are looking at the government should look into what is happening in the South. They should look into the marginalization of the people of the South. But not 2023, the general election, that when it was clear it was the turn of people. Well, what happened? There were a lot of theories, there were a lot of shenanigans, a lot of other forms of conspiracies against people. When it was clear they were turn of the Southeast, these are not good. So I want the kind of thing that Nigerian people should stop if they want Nigeria to move ahead. If the Nnamdi Kanu is saying all this, instead of treating my people this way, it is better we go that we can see survive elsewhere outside Nigeria. Is the message, and then we are talking about political solution. Thinking that if we release him today, that it will be that. On the other hand, what my friend is saying that if you release him, the situation will be worse. It's not true.
That's what I said.
That's what they are trying to. This implication of what they are saying. How we should release that.
Can I? Chief. 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 I don't think there's anybody outside Yoruba, Igbo land that has gave sympathy to Igbo cause as much as I do. Go and check my record. But ethics, I'm talking about ethics of struggle.
We'll give you a chance to talk to Chief when we come back. Up next, we have a break, and when we return, we'll continue with this conversation. Please stay with us. Welcome back. We continue with our conversation on Nnamdi Kanu and the calls for his release by leaders from around the country, especially in the southeastern part of Nigeria. Razaq Olokoba still with us, and Right Honorable Dr. Chiedozie Alex Ogbonnia, who is the National Publicity Secretary of Ohanaeze, Ndigbo, worldwide, the Pan-Igbo Sociocultural Organization. Razaq, before we went on the break, you were responding to...
I was trying to make a point
Chief's
that
response to you.
There's the Igbo cause.
Okay.
And if you look at the manifesto of the Igbo cause, placed side by side with the Yoruba cause, the Fulani cause, and the Ijaw cause, in content and character, is the same thing.
Okay.
Arewa want a better life for the Fulani and Hausa people. Same thing, Ijaw and Yoruba people, another ethnic group. Because Nigeria is a country of multi-ethnic nationalities. That's a fact we must admit. And if you run countries in that manner, if you say that you have numerous identity, it's not a minus, you must admit. And you will witness this kind of demand in a country like Nigeria, which is the case with everywhere in the world. And that was what gave rise to the reason why Indians parliament speak four languages. Okay, so it's legitimate.
But there's a but.
So there's the Igbo cause.
Okay.
But there's the person also managing the Igbo cause who is mismanaging it in the person of Nnamdi Kanu. And if you don't address that, the release of Kanu is so complicated that you need to do more than the making demand. And we have had an example of when he was first released and he took off. And indeed, he broke all the goodwill that Igbo people have with other ethnic group in the country. You know what he said in his videos? Many alliances that the Igbo people had with so many ethnic groups. For instance, and for Igbo cause, whenever I'm doing this, we will know what role Wole Soyinka played. Okay. And up to today, prominent Yoruba leaders like Adebanjo, it's still with the Ohanaeze.
Okay.
They have to know and night. So in essence, what I'm saying is that it is very important to do more than that.
Okay.
What assurance you want? Sunday Igbo that he mentioned. Yes. Sunday Igbo is out. And things that people have concern about Sunday Igbo, he's no longer doing it. That's number one. Number two is that there's no time people will say, is he being questioned? We want to see him. They provide him. So emotions don't give freedom to political detainees. What gives is the technicalities of release.
Okay, let me allow Chief. Chief, what do you say to that? He says emotions don't give life to release.
Interestingly, my friend is full of contradictions. In the first place, he said Ijaw case, Yoruba case, they are not the same, my brother. Good Lord Jonathan was Ijaw, of that extraction. He was the president of Nigeria. The other time, you see Obasanjo of Yoruba, president of Nigeria. This time around, Tinubu, Yoruba, president of Nigeria. How is Igbo similar to, how the case of Igbo similar to that of Yoruba? Number two, he presents himself as an advocate for justice and equity and for somebody who sympathizes with the people who are suffering injustice of one or the other. At the same time, his argument is like slanting against the release of Nnamdi Kanu because he's fear, that perhaps if Nnamdi Kanu is released, he cause mayhem. It's not true. Okay, I assure you that Ohanaeze and Ndigbo will ensure that Nnamdi Kanu, if well released, will definitely keep it to the terms of the release by the court or the Ministry of Justice. So there's no doubt that, but try to understand what I told you before. It's not about Nnamdi Kanu, not Nnamdi Kanu. if the maltreatment continues, if the marginalization continues, if the injustice against the South continues, and then Nnamdi Kanu will rise from somewhere. So what we are looking at, Nigeria should quite understand that there have been injustice to the South. In Lagos, we're in Lagos at Alaba, looking at Lagos demolition of property. After that, some other places, hard-earned money somebody used to build a house, you demolish it overnight. So a lot of things are happening in this country. So when we are looking at political solutions, we are looking at where we can sit together, where Nigeria will understand that the agitation by the Southeast people, that the agitation is rare and it's genuine. And so some of these things that I think we'll be looking at. So our cases are not the same thing. There's a difference. There's a difference.
Can I? Well, you see, in national TV, and the more we talk about issues like this, the more we are looking at the unity of Nigeria. Differences must be thoroughly discussed. And that's what we run away from. You said people's houses were demolished in Alaba. And facts were provided by Lagos State government to indicate that the illegal structures were the only ones being destroyed. If you have proof, well, we went out as members of civil society to do our investigation, and we discovered that all the demolished buildings contravenes the law. I want to assure Chief that anybody that is having issues of illegal demolition, is to approach us. We will take the matter up. Then that's number one. Number two is that people witness a lot of things in any part of the world they go. And identity is the reason why you must know the region you are going into. When the border was killed, I blame all Nigerians that kept saying that we must push our identity aside. And I said, no, Nigeria is a religious country. Nigeria is a country with ethnic issues. So you must understand any region that you are going to. I have vehicles in Onitsha too. I had to take my vehicle away from Onitsha. I have 3 vehicles there. It doesn't load for 3 months. In Onitsha garage, it doesn't load for 3 months. And I didn't feel bad about it. I didn't say because I'm a Yoruba man, maybe people are not comfortable to ply my own vehicle. So I took it up and I didn't turn it into a blackmail. So and I also have friends across the Southeast who find it very difficult to have certain documents to land. See, land is important anywhere in the world. If the Igbo people decide that we don't join with our land, that's who you are. I don't blame you for that. But what we are saying is that anybody that accommodates other ethnic groups, once you get to their land, there must be conformity.
Okay. All right.
So for Nnamdi Kanu, as much as I also want him to release, I also am of the view that chief submission should be paramount in their whatever they are saying, assurance.
Okay. So
the president,
Chief,
and to the nation.
Okay, Chief. Is there a guarantee, as far as you're concerned? Can you, as Ohanaeze Ndigbo worldwide, give a guarantee that should Nnamdi Kanu be released, that he won't go back to his old ways, not the agitation, but probably if they're saying things like, people should take up arms against, the police, whatever you can carry and kill them. He's even attacked Ohanaeze Ndigbo before. I remember those days because I was in Port Harcourt. So is there a guarantee? Can he be controlled, Chief?
You say attacked Ohanaeze how? Now, let me first clear what my friend was saying. Every Nigerian knows the truth. And part of the problem is that a young man like my Razaq, I want to believe that by God's grace, he will grow a prominent Nigerian. But if you recall what happened to before the election of last year, a lot of people were disenfranchised. Some of them were barred from registration centers. Some of them were, at a point, they were threatened with a lagoon because they wanted to exercise their franchise and things like that. For Razaq to come here and begin to tell the world that all this, everything is good fair in war, it's not the best. So I just want to clear that. At any rate, Igbo will have resilience. That the Igbo unity and resilience and capacity to turn adversity into advantage is always there. No matter how far hard you push or the harder you push or the stronger we become. That's what I mean by resilient. So we are not even discouraged being who we are. No, we are not. So before answering your question about whether people are afraid of what Nnamdi Kanu will do when it comes out, there's no basis for that.
Okay, Chief, very quickly, I just want to ask you a final question because of time. Whilst Nnamdi Kanu has been incarcerated, a new sheriff stepped into town. Yeah, Chief. Why is
they never perform against anybody? They are constantly saying it. But I still want to add before we wind up that you see, at a point, when this have been called for discussion by the government, who stops the government inviting Nnamdi Kanu or IPOB? Say, please, what's the basis of the grievances? What's the basis for the agitation? What stops it? This of using checkpoint all over the southeast, stopping everybody going about.
Yeah, Chief Alex Ogbonnia, just a quick one before you go. Chief Alex Ogbonnia, please, just a quick one before you go. There's the issue of Simon Ekpa, who seems to be having control over the militant elements in the southeast. Does Nnamdi Kanu still have that voice, that authority to tell them to cease fire and to stop the violence and the killing, the carnage, the kidnapping and all that?
Well, when it comes to IPOB, the most prominent IPOB person known to us is Nnamdi Kanu. Any person can be anywhere and begin to carry on with his own functions, operations. When people don't come out on Monday morning, not because they're obeying whoever, but for the fact that non-state actors sometimes take over the streets, and because of that, they're afraid of their life, not in compliance. No person stays at home on Monday in compliance with some of these instructions or directives from somewhere. So, but ultimately, Nnamdi Kanu is opposed to sit at home, is opposed to violence, is opposed to. He's talking about there should be peace. My people should not. There shouldn't be.
All right, Chief.
There should be.
Okay, Chief. So thank you very much.
We must count. We must hold him by what he says.
Thank you very much, Chief Alex Ogbonnia. He says if it's released within 2 minutes. Yeah, if it says it's released within 2 minutes, peace will return to the southeast. We'll have further conversations on this, but we have to go. Razaq Olokoba, thank you very much for your time.
It's a pleasure being with you.
Indeed, and of course, Chief Alex Ogbonnia. Thank you, sir, for your time. National Publicity Secretary Ohanaeze Ndigbo worldwide. Of course, Razaq is a public affairs analyst, amongst other things. Thank you very much. We'll be right back. We'll talk about River State when we return. It's a packed episode of Politics HQ. Please stay with us.